So many times you see entrepreneurs and business owners that look like they have reached this level of success, and sometimes you wonder, how did they get there? Did they go to school for that? Were there particular opportunities and jobs that they had before that? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. Hello, my name is Brianna Régine. I am the host of the Brand Unveiled podcast, and I also am the founder and CEO of Brianna Régine Visionary Consulting. And today we're going to talk about a topic that I often get asked, particularly for the folks who are in college or in their early 20s, late teens, and that is, how did I get to where I am right now? In other words, how did I get to even knowing that I wanted to do marketing, communications? How did I get to actually having my own company? Did I know this going into school? So that's what we're going to talk about today. The very first thing is, I feel like I had a very unique revelation about what I wanted to do. Most people, I feel, and it's quite common for folks to go into college, or if you haven't gone to college or don't intend to go to college and don't want to go to college, which is totally fine, in your later teens, early 20s, when you're kind of in that transition space of like, okay, I'm no longer a teenager, I'm a young adult. What am I supposed to be doing when it comes to work? Most people don't know, and that's fine. It's a very exploratory stage, and there's nothing wrong with that. For me, as of 8th grade, that's the earliest I could remember. That's when I realized, what is this? Wingardium Leviosa. I don't know why I have this pen in my hand. For those who are listening, I'm going to put the pen down. Since 8th grade, I knew I wanted to be in the entertainment industry. I didn't quite know what that would look like. I thought it was going to be as an artist or as a dancer. Turns out that's actually really, really hard, and I'm not that talented. I'm talented, but I don't think I'm that talented, and it takes a certain kind of person to be dedicated to those things. But I just knew I wanted to be in the entertainment industry. Making the Band raised me. Okay, Boom Cac, Lorianne Gibson, Diddy, all of that. I also had my godmother who I knew was in the entertainment industry, and it just seemed appealing to me. And I had known that my godmother also majored in communications, and that's just something that I kept in my mind. It wasn't anything that was drilled into my head by any means. It was just something that I remembered, probably in the same way anything entertainment wise, I gravitated towards it. And also too, when I was younger and I got involved with the arts, I liked how being involved with dancing and singing and plays, how that made me feel. I was very much like myself, not shy at all in those environments, but outside of those environments, I was totally shy. But I liked how being involved in the arts made me feel. So in 8th grade, I was attending a private school, and I had started this hip hop club in middle school. It was like the first hip hop club that they ever had in the middle school. And during that time, I was definitely writing songs, and I was on YouTube at that point, and I was doing covers and posting dance videos. Like, I really thought that I could take it all the way. My parents also, they always believe in their kids. So I was in voice lessons, and I took piano lessons, and I attended a program at Alvin Ailey, like all of these things relative to entertainment, right? And so since 8th grade, that interest sort of evolved over time to me exploring different areas of the arts in different capacities and different areas of just like the music industry and things of that nature. And let me say also, by music industry, I don't mean like I was necessarily talking to people per se. It was more so me doing my own due diligence and looking things up, and again having an affinity for that kind of content. So that's the stuff that I was looking up. So fast forward, when it came time to go to school, the communications degree for me just seemed like it made the most sense. It was, up to that point, what I had known about in 8th grade, having spoken to my godmother and doing my own sort of due diligence, especially my senior year of high school. I went to school at the University of Connecticut. When I went as a freshman, I was like an exploratory student upon entering a freshman year. And then when it was the time to declare a major, I declared communications. Everything else just didn't seem to grab my attention. It either seemed to be so to the left for me as far as doctor, lawyer, chemist, like really niched majors and some legit, hard going academic je ne sais quoi that I knew I didn't want to do. Or the other side of it was just stuff that didn't necessarily interest me, or I guess hindsight 2020, I didn't necessarily think that I could have a career in, which side topic, I personally feel in college that is the time where you're meant to explore until the cows come home, okay? Explore your life away, change your mind, change it again. The workforce nowadays, with the exception of those really niche type of jobs, doctor, lawyer, chemist, the jobs that you still need that degree and those particular courses that like put you on a path directly to those kinds of roles. I believe that everything else, you don't necessarily have to say, okay, I need a career in this. Like, it's drilled, especially so much in America, that you go to college in order to get the job. But nowadays, in today's workforce, I feel like that's not the case anymore, particularly for millennials, Gen Zs, and whomever comes after Gen Zs. Like, we are more so prioritizing our well-being and work-life balance. And so I just think the rigid thinking, the traditional thinking of I'm going to go to college and whatever I major in, that's what I'm going to also get as a job is kind of like out the door. Anyway, I decided to major in communications. It seems like it made the most sense to me, and I loved it. I loved all of my comm courses except for one. The professor got fired. That's a whole nother conversation. He wasn't a good teacher at all, and clearly I wasn't the only student that thought that because he got fired. But I majored in comms. I love my comm courses. I felt like, particularly on the path to getting my comm degree, I also took some sociology and linguistics and psychology courses, which also in my mind aligned with communications for sure. And ultimately it all contributed to my love for storytelling. And in order to get the story, you have to learn about the people in the story and like the person behind the brand. And that's what I do today. And that's what I love. I love learning why people are the way that they are and how they've come to build their businesses. Like, what's their why? So I love my comm courses. I think, it was a great choice for me. As far as, not only having a comm degree, what I did to equip me with the technical skills that would make me best positioned for a career, I worked my butt off. I went to UConn Stanford, which was a commuter school. So that allowed me to not only attend classes, but I had free time for me that I used to work and build my resume. I don't recommend everyone do it necessarily in the way that I did it, but I don't regret anything. What I would say though is that although I was able to build my resume and I do feel like getting the internships, I had internships that were related to marketing and communications. I also worked in retail. I was a nanny. I was a babysitter. I worked for startups. I was in corporate for a little bit. Like, I touched every piece of the job market, so to speak. And I feel like it helped me a great deal get to where I am today, especially the jobs that I didn't realize I was doing: branding, marketing, public relations, operations management, all the things that I offer within my business today. I didn't know the terminology back then to describe, oh, this is what I'm doing. But it was all great. It helped me a great deal. However, because I worked so hard, I feel like if I didn't feel, for the lack of a better word, pressure that I honestly feel like I put on myself, but that, again, this idea of go to college, get the job, and I'm also the firstborn. And so education was really pushed a lot. Like, it's pushed on all my siblings and I, but because I was first, I definitely got a lot of that. And so that's all I knew, you know? So the idea of like work-life balance or loosening up and just like having fun, I don't think I did a lot of that. And I always tell my mentees now, like, whatever pressures you feel are totally valid. Whatever emotions that you feel, they're totally valid. But life is meant to be more than just working or your academics. Have fun. Live your life. Now's the time to try new things, make mistakes. Like, now's the time to do that. And that's the only thing. It's not a regret. It's more so just an epiphany that I've had through mentorship, that if I had known that everything is going to be okay regardless, if you don't dedicate 100% of your time to building your resume and academics. It's okay if you go out or if you think less about that particular project. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying to, oh, whatever, flunk school. That's not what I'm saying. Because school is expensive, okay? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I wish I had more of a balance during my time as a college student. But nevertheless, all through college, I worked. I worked my butt off. Freshman year all the way to senior year, I worked. And like I said, I worked a variety of different jobs that allowed me to be in basically every kind of business model, from, you know, the sole proprietorships or, you know, like nannying and babysitting, to LLCs, to retail, to a little bit of corporate, startup, small business. Like, I've done it. I did it. In my junior to senior year of college, that was the last official job that I had as an internship. I had a PR internship in the city, and they really liked me. So I was doing account coordinator work, and I was there for about a year. And while I was there, I was also freelancing on the side. Again, while I was freelancing, I was doing branding, marketing, a little bit of PR, definitely some operations management. Again, I didn't quite know that that's what I was doing, but I was definitely getting my hands in that kind of work. And, you know, towards the end of my winter semester, I just remember waking up one day and being like, I could do this myself. I could serve people in the way that I want to serve them, particularly folks that feel like the underdog or feel underrepresented. Like, I can do that in a way where empathy is at the forefront. Like, I see the human, I see the person behind the brand, and that is at the center of the work that we do. It's not solely transactional in the traditional sense where, you're replaceable, you know? I didn't want that vibe. And so I spoke to my mom about it, and she was like, okay, you have 1 year. And here we are 6 years later. So let me just say this. My leap of faith was different, and I was in a fortunate situation, and I'm aware of that in the sense that I live with my parents. I didn't have tons of responsibilities. I also had supportive parents who heard me out and encouraged me. And I also was in a healthy environment that would allow me to work on my craft without feeling discouraged along the way from outside things that aren't associated with me. And I feel those factors help me thrive, put me in a situation where my leap of faith was able to be nurtured in like this healthy, supportive incubator, you know? And so I just remember thinking and planning and thinking about my name, and really thinking about like what it is that I wanted to do, what it is that I enjoyed doing out of all the different jobs that I had. I feel like all of the different jobs that I had a few things in common, which were I was able to find solutions to the ideas that seem impossible or they seem big. And how are we going to do this? What does that even look like? I love strategizing, and I love seeing things go from nothing to something, or like an idea to actual implementation. I love working with the people behind the brand, so as close to the decision maker or the business owner that I can get, the better, that I felt empowered to do my work. I love working with brands that were serving other people in some shape, form, or fashion. And in a way, everything that I had done prior to starting my business had an element of that, whether it was dealing with children who may be, in low income sort of environments, or people who wanted to dance, or people who wanted community, or it was a realization for me that yes, I like doing XYZ for ZYX, and this is how I'm going to do it. And I remember writing all these different things on paper, and even my name, and I launched my senior spring semester. It was 3 months before I graduated. I quit the PR job in the city and I started my own business. And I've been at it for 6 years now. Has it been easy? No. Has it been worth it? Yes. Have I been able to maintain my integrity and run a business in a way that makes me feel proud? Yes. Am I grateful? Yes. And I'll end this episode by saying this. If you are looking for a sense of guidance as far as what it is that I want to do, remember, whether it be traditional college, a trade school, or you're on Google, YouTube, however you get your education, and you're looking for guidance as to what it is that you're trying to do or that you think you want to do, you will not know until you know. So even if it's little things that are of interest to you, try it out. Go after the internship. Go after the entry-level job. Just apply. You need the real-world experience in order to figure out what it is that you truly enjoy doing. And I never quite put it like this, but I think the reason why by the time I was in 8th grade, I knew I wanted to be in entertainment. Let's see, I had to have been 13 years old, around that age somewhere. But by the time I was in 8th grade, I had already been in an arts program. So I already had been dancing and singing, and I love learning songs and figuring out what songs, how they were put together and how plays were put together. And I'm telling you, making the band, you may laugh, but that show literally taught me so much. I was so intrigued by how music executives sought out talent and sort of the business side of how they would explain how that worked. And I know making the band had an element of reality TV to it, but there was also a lot of truth in it. And I took so much out of it that I consumed that before 8th grade. So again, you can consume education in a variety of different ways, but you also have to put those things into action, right? So for me, making the band, I also then got involved with the arts, and I was part of honing my craft, and I was writing songs and putting things out on YouTube, and I knew that I liked that. There were elements of that I liked, right? You won't know until you know. You need the real world experience. And for me, I feel like my communications degree, it has helped me get to where I'm at, in the sense that college as a whole, that whole experience helped me. I can't say that if I didn't get a comms degree, I would not be where I am right now. But I know that what I learned in school, I'm able to apply to the work that it is that I do. Now, I'm not saying I'm doing my work and I'm going back into my college notes. No, I'm not. And how often do I think about my comms courses? Rarely at all. The one thing that I do remember is a media class I think I took in my senior year. And essentially it was the media is the main way that folks get informed, and therefore they have so much power. It's the Supreme Court, I forget, it's 4 something, the Supreme Court, the White House, and the media is in that circuit, and the power of media is so crazy. That's the thing that I remember. And so that is kind of like a driving force, especially when I am doing public relations or when I'm doing content marketing. But, my whole college experience helped me. I see it as my path is my path, and everything that happened was meant to happen. And I'm a reflective person. So I see every experience that I've gone through has contributed to me being here. And that's what I want to encourage you to think about. If you are trying to figure it out, like what it is that I want to do, I don't know what I should major in. I majored in this. I think I want to change my mind. I've had so many conversations with so many young adults, and I just want y'all to remember that your path is your path. And the fact that you're even watching this video or listening to this episode or even having these inner conversations with yourself about what it is that I want to do, that already puts you ahead of so many people, because at least you're aware. You're having those conversations. You are doing that self-reflection. You are, in a way, planning out your future. A plan is only meant to guide you. It's not the end all be all, and it shouldn't be. And sometimes I think we put so much pressure on the plan. The plan's got to work. The plan's got to work. I've done it so many times, and it can be so shattering and debilitating when the dream that was at the other side of that plan doesn't pan out how you wanted. I've had to let go of that concept of holding so tightly to my plan, because every time it didn't go how I wanted to go, I was so disappointed. Now I can't be disappointed because I'm like, okay, here's my plan. Here are my goals. I'm going to work backwards to try and achieve those goals. But I also know that because I even have this approach to having my life be the way that I want it to be, I'm going to be okay. That sense of peace of joy, and also being connected to God and having faith, it has guided me so much throughout this point. And obviously I didn't have that concept when I was in school. So I try and encourage young adults to keep that in mind, because it is a pressure-filled time. Your young 20s, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but you totally got this. So I hope this reflection and sort of walking you through my journey gives you an idea about how you can walk through yours. You're totally going to be fine. It is okay. And if you like this episode, please let me know. You can send me an email at info@briannaregine.com. If you have a question that you'd like me to address on the next episode, please let me know. I would like to talk about it, and I just want to provide as much value as I possibly can. Again, I know it can be so ambiguous sometimes to figure out how did they get there? What was their beginning? What were the turning points? What were the challenges, And if I can provide that insight, I totally will. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye.